The Biden administration, well, let me rephrase this, go a different direction. Biden last night, in his speech, in his little shouty voice, by the way, has come to be kind of standard these days. But at the Democrat National Convention, he made the Harris campaign strategy crystal clear. All right, the Democrats are not running on the record of the Biden administration of the last 4 years. Neither have the Democrats articulated a vision for the country, for our future. Instead, they are running on the planks of abortion, the LGBTQ agenda. They're running on not being Donald Trump. It's amazing the lack of substance and vision. Joining me now to discuss this is Ken Blackwell. Nobody knows this stuff better than Ken. He's a senior fellow for human rights and constitutional government at the Family Research Council, as well as FRC Action's special advisor for election integrity, someone I lean upon heavily. Ken, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to have you, my friend.
Jody, good to be with you.
All right, let me start with this. I got this information actually this morning in a meeting that I was a part of. But as you well know, the Democrats formally adopted their platform last night. But in the platform, their platform mentions President Donald Trump 147 times. They only mention inflation 3 times and the border only 8 times. What does this tell you about their priorities?
You know, it's hard for them to articulate what they're for, because when they do that, they alienate the vast majority of Americans. What I couldn't believe last night as I watched it was 2 people who had, in fact, made proud of that they were attached at the hip. They were 2 peas in a pod. They were hand in glove and running this country, leading this country. All of a sudden, what you began to see was that they brought Joe Biden on almost close to the midnight hour, when a lot of folks had gone to bed and would not, in fact, see his performance. And so one of the things that we have to do is to say, this is a race about what we're for, what Trump is for, and what they're for. And when we do that, the contrast is stark, and the choice for Americans becomes easy. They know that they can't win with their platform, which is nothing more than a collection of collectionist ideas and proposals, and it flies in the face of our tradition as a country that understands the primacy of the individual and the centrality of God in the life of our nation, and we protect innocent life.
Extremely well said. So when you stay up and you watch President Biden, I was really amazed that he was able to stay up through the speech. You know, it was, I know it had to be a struggle for him. But what did you take away from President Biden's late night speech last night?
Well, first, I thought it was senior abuse, and they should be ashamed of themselves. Secondly, one of the things that he tried to do was to articulate, and this was a speech that was shaped mostly by his speechwriters, and they tried to basically say that this speech was about moving America forward, but it was talking about moving America forward on the wrong track. That's where I took away from the speech, and they were just lucky that they were clever enough to put him on, like I said, close to the midnight hour, where most folks can't hear it, and nobody's going to read their platform. So they specialize in greenlighting the public and trying to make them believe that they are something about something that they're not. They would make Walt Disney jealous. Wow.
Yeah, I brought this up earlier on the program, and like your reaction, it seems to me like the Democrats are acting as though, and you're right. I mean, we have President Biden and Kamala. They've for years now. They've done everything together. This has all been their vision. They're moving America. And now there's an obvious attempt to distance Kamala from President Biden. But it's even worse than that. It's almost as though they are acting like they don't even have an incumbent president. It's like they're saying, what we're going to do on day one, vote for us. We're going to start brand new. Do you feel that way? I mean, it's just seemed to me like they're acting like they're not even in the incumbent driving seat, so to speak.
Jody, as I've told you before, I've crisscrossed this globe. I've been in about 64 to 67 countries. Let me tell you what this is. This was a collectivist agenda that would make the Politburo of the former Soviet Union proud. You nailed it. Biden is not, and Harris are not running this show. It's a collectivist cabal that, in fact, has a game plan to put us on a track of collectivism, socialism. The Marxist stain is obvious, and what I think that we have to do is to call them out on this. These folks are not pro-family. They're not pro-protection of innocent life. They have a very radical game plan that they, in fact, have been putting in place. And I tell you, one of the things that really concerned me was buried within that platform was their continuous attack on the Supreme Court. They want to fundamentally transform our country from a constitutional republic to a country that is run by the administrative state that they think they have control of.
Well, yeah, let's come back to that in a moment, because I agree with you. That is an extremely major issue that cannot afford to be swept under the carpet. The American people need to understand what you just said about the Supreme Court. But there's no doubt that, yet again, a running theme, if you will, by so many of the speakers is the whole absolute support for abortion on demand through all 9 months of pregnancy. And I think largely they're doing this because they have nothing else to run on. But when Hillary Clinton spoke last night, she made it clear that abortion is a federal issue. In fact, let me just play clip one. Let me get this clip.
She will be a fighter for us. She will fight to lower costs for hardworking families, open the doors wide for good-paying jobs, and yes, she will restore abortion rights nationwide.
All right, Ken, let me ask you this, because here's what this says to me. The Democrats are making it abundantly clear that they see abortion as a federal issue. On the flip side, though, they attack any Republican who believes that life is a federal issue. Am I right on that?
You're absolutely right. And while we, in fact, work to make sure that we protected our constitutional republic and its structure where states could actually deal with these items, there's nothing wrong or inconsistent with us having something in the Constitution that says at the heart of this nation, because we are a nation that protects innocent life and we believe in the centrality of God in the life of the nation, that we, in fact, have as part of our foundational document a statement that respects innocent life and guides the states as they, in fact, start to craft their individual approach. There's nothing inconsistent with that.
Absolutely. And, I just want to underscore this, because so I've heard it over and over, I know you have as well, that Republicans are saying that the battle for life is now a state issue. Kick it back to the states, let the states deal with it. That is exactly the narratives the Democrats want Republicans to have, because they are making it clear that they see it as a federal issue. They are going to cram this thing down the throats of the American people. Absolute abortion, all 9 months of pregnancy on the federal level, while Republicans are going to be twiddling their not twiddling their thumbs, but focusing their attention on this battle on the state level rather than on the federal level. When the Democrats succeed at that, all their federal laws will override all the work that's being done on the state level.
Absolutely. And we can't, those of us who believe what you just said, we can't retreat to the sidelines. We have to speak into this election and into this process and civil society debate. It is so important that we engage. I'll tell you, one of the things that I think was a blessing is that there's been a snapback from what was drifting towards a Trump runaway to now a very competitive race. And the Trump team, the Republicans, the NRC cannot stiff arm or turn their back or deaf ear to our voices as champions for life, because now every legal vote counts, and they can't afford to disillusion people to the point that they stay home.
Excellent point. Excellent point. All right, let's go back to the Supreme Court issue real quickly. Describe your concern and what you heard last night that raised red flags for you.
What buried into their platform, what they basically are saying is, and just look at their behavior, is that something is criminal and sinister about this Supreme Court. And the only way that they can, in fact, bring about what they consider to be a court that's reflective of their interests is by restructuring the Supreme Court. And they are sore losers, and they are fundamentally absent-minded when it comes to understanding the foundational issues of our constitutional republic. This is going to be, figuratively speaking, a bare-knuckle brawl. We can't afford for anybody to stay home or on the sideline. And to make sure that that doesn't happen, we cannot afford to have our leadership abandon the issues and the intensity of support for those issues that got us to a point where we're in striking distance in the Senate. We, in fact, have a majority in the House, and I think that we can win the presidency. We can win the trifecta, and if we win the trifecta, we can put this country back on the right track where we are a growing economy, folks are working, we respect the centrality of God in the life of this nation, and we protect innocent life.
That says it all right there, Ken. And you and I have both heard Tony Perkins say this over and over and over and over. Pray, vote, stand. This is the time that the political line has been drawn in the sand. The spiritual line has been drawn in the sand. It's time to pray, vote, and stand. Our time's beginning to click down on us. The Democrats also made Project 2025 kind of a boogeyman, if you will. Give me your thoughts on that.
Look, the conservative movement in this country, have centers of activity and thought leadership, and we have all been working on policies and practices that would, in fact, reestablish us as a strong constitutional republic. The Heritage Foundation has been doing their work. There are other organizations that have been doing their work. I think what's more important for our folks to understand is not the threat of the conservative 2025 plan that has come out of conservative think tanks and action tanks, but their 2025 plan, restructure the court, allow the taking of innocent life up to the point of birth. I mean, they are talking about actually putting a stranglehold on industry and business in this country, and as a consequence, they are talking about spending, printing more money, driving up inflation. Their 2025 plan puts us on the track to become Venezuela in 2025.
Wow. While they're flying people from Venezuela here over the border, as Chad Wolf was talking about in the last segment. Less than a minute, we have, what are you expecting tonight? More of the same?
More of the same. I think tonight you will begin to see just who is running the Democrat machine, it hasn't changed. They are big government enthusiasts. They've been working now for over a decade to run God and faith out of the public square. They really can't embrace the concept of e pluribus unum, from the many one. And our great danger is that we can't allow them to have Paris as a tabula rasa, where they in fact
Absolutely.
can now draw a picture of her that's inconsistent with who she really is.
Thank you so much, Ken Blackwell, FRC Action, and a host of other places where you've got your influence all over the place. Always an honor to see you. Thank you for joining us today on Washington Watch.
Thanks, Jody.